Hi everyone, welcome back to the second channel. In this podcast episode, we're going to talk about a few different things. First of all, one of the struggles of trying to make videos on YouTube, especially this month, January, beginning of the year. There was a video I wanted to make, but everyone else started making the same kind of video, so I had to keep pushing it back and back and back, which is why there was like a big break for videos at the beginning of the year. I'll talk about that because it's a little bit funny. Also, shorts are going to become a more prominent thing on YouTube now. I imagine this is something you might have noticed, a lot of shorts kind of appearing in the YouTube sphere. You know, the mobile app is putting a larger emphasis on them. They've kind of moved up in the homepage recommendations on YouTube. That's because YouTube's going to start allowing them to be monetized properly at the beginning of next month, February 2023. I'm also going to talk about a little productivity tip/technique that I want to lean into more, called the pool technique. So we'll see if there's anything there that you might be able to adopt for your own workflow. And maybe a couple more personal things, wanting to get back into driving, kind of anticipating moving to the new place down by the coast, general self-improvement thoughts and things like that. And also whether it's a good idea to kind of rebrand oneself to become more of a portfolio identity when they do so many different things online. That might sound a bit confusing, but I'll explain it when we get there. Also, before we get into it, if you think anyone else will find these podcast episodes interesting, then feel free to share it with them. I don't really push these too hard. I just occasionally put them on like the main channel community feed. But once this channel gets monetized, then I'll start taking it a bit more seriously. But anyway, so the first subject, the video that never happened. So over the years, I've done like the best way to learn Blender videos on the main channel, and they've always been, like one of the driving forces for bringing new people into the channel and also just into Blender in general. People find them really useful. There's lots of different recommendations for paid and free content. I've always kind of done it in a way where there's always a comparison between, okay, if you want to learn Blender for this, then here's some paid content for you, and then here's a free alternative if you can't afford it. I noticed other people starting to do the same thing. Here's how you learn Blender this year. Here's some paid stuff. Here's some free stuff. And it's always the same kind of format. The paid stuff is the affiliate content, so we can try and make some revenue off of it. So I was like, okay, 2023 is here. I have a legacy of these videos. People have been asking for an updated version, so it's time to do it. But the funny thing is, I plan to do it on like week 1 of the month, week 2 on the latest. As I was just about to like properly sit down and prepare it, Southern Shotty released a video. It's called How to Get Good at Blender 3D in 2023. Okay, that's cool. Maybe people will think I'm trying to copy him if I release mine now, but he even gave me a shout out, so that's fine. That's really cool. Okay. But then also Ducky 3D released a video, The Best Way to Learn Blender in 2023, which is the exact like kind of title that I would have used on mine. I was like, okay, dab it. If I release it now, people are going to think I'm copying him. But he also gave me a shout out in the video, so that was fine. And that actually brought in like a load of new subscribers for the main channel. At the time of recording this, it's got over 250,000 views, which is fantastic. I was like, okay, like I know I've done an entire series of these videos over the years and people expect an update, but still I think people might think I'm copying if I release it. So I was like, okay, I'll leave it a little bit more. I'll leave it a little bit more, see what happens. And then Blender Made Easy released 5 days ago from recording this, best places to learn Blender going into 2023. And again, I've been given a shout out in that video. And I'm like, I really want to make this video because it just makes sense to, keep this series updated, but everyone's making the same video. And they all got there before me. But okay, again, Blender Made Easy gave me a shout out. Really cool. I appreciate all of that. I've given them shout outs as well in the community roundup videos. So that's all great. I'm not mad. I just think it's funny. But also they all follow the same format. It's all just like showing you channels which you can learn from. And I don't really want to do it that way. In my previous ones, what I've done is I've made a presentation in Blender where we're actually looking through at different like cool resources and showing them like a guided learning path of how they can learn those things. I want to do something a bit similar again, but I just want to, jazz it up a bit. So I've been trying to experiment with like presentation styles using Grease Pencil in Blender 3.4. I've come up with something visually quite nice where we can have, all the different text objects there representing a learning path depending on what you want to use Blender for. But as I draw with the Grease Pencil, the stroke kind of changes color. And the way it does that is by having invisible lights there in Eevee. So we can kind of change the color style of the Grease Pencil strokes as I'm kind of like drawing and annotating during the video. So I'm not ready to do that video yet, but I just thought, that would be something quite interesting. We can kind of sit there in Blender with this presentation style and give people like something interesting to look at. It'd functionally be a bit more like a lecture than these channel recommendation videos, because I wouldn't want the content to be so samey, especially not on my channel where we have the community roundup videos, which already are those, here are the channels you can look at, blah, 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 blah. I want it to be a bit more like informative. So yeah, I just thought that was funny. Like it kept having to be pushed back and I was getting really frustrated. Again, not at the creators, but just the spending so much time without a video at the beginning of the year there because it just kept getting moved back and back and back. But of course, at the same time, other things were being worked on, like the new Blender Cinema website project and, you know, fixing Biogen, starting to work on version 10 and all of that stuff. But yeah, that's just one of like the funny struggles. You have an idea for something, but then everyone else has exactly the same idea at the same time. But I feel like I have some good authority to make that video because we have a series going back years. But anyway, I'll get to it. So yeah, the next part, shorts are going to be monetized as of February, meaning that people will be able to make YouTube channels entirely based on short content and quite possibly make a living from it if they do well enough. The criteria to be able to get monetized on a channel using just shorts is actually quite high. Let me just take a look at this channel, the Blender Studio channel. I'll get it up in front of me. So under the YouTube Studio, there's a section called Earn. I think it used to be called Monetize or something like that. When you take a look on there, it shows you how close you are to be able to get your channel to partnership. Traditionally, and this does still apply, if you're making videos on YouTube, you need 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours within the last 365 days. Funnily enough, you'll think that the 1,000 subscribers is the hardest thing to get. It's not, because 4,000 watch hours is a lot of watch hours. You know, on this channel, we've had 1,000 subs for a long time, but, you know, I have to keep pumping out videos to get those watch hours up because we don't have like, you know, a massive number of views. That's why these podcasts are actually quite good, because they increase the watch time by comparison to other videos, because you'll sit here for longer, you'll listen. It's something you can keep on while you're working. And I feel like they provide some value back, so that's quite handy. But they've added extra criteria now, so you don't have to get 4,000 watch hours anymore. If you want to become a shorts focused YouTuber, you now need the 1,000 subscribers, but you also need 10 million shorts views in the last 90 days. Now that is a lot of views. Now obviously it's shorts, so the shorts play on loop automatically. All right, so that's going to be racking up the view count. But also I think that YouTube would balance this, right? So the watch hour difficulty and the shorts view difficulty would be the same thing. So you can get like one or the other. They know the channel is valuable enough to be monetized. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I'm just assuming they'd balance it so that would kind of be the same. Like, that kind of makes sense to me. 10 million views is crazy. Just for reference, my main channel does not have 10 million views total. It's got 8.9 million views at the time of recording this, 8.947922. Other YouTubers definitely do have 10 million views. Let's take a look at Ducky. He's on 30 million views, so that's okay. And CG Matter, he's on 32 million views. Why am I so low by comparison? Because people hate my videos. No, but yeah, it's a really high target to hit. So I would think that if the difficulty is balanced between those criteria, then YouTube is probably confident in that they have a way to push shorts to more people than regular videos. That's what I would expect. That they've probably been working on a new change to the algorithm that will be better at finding people and serving that content to them, so that 10 million views won't be like such a difficult margin to hit. But I don't know, I've made like one short in the past for like announcing a Black Friday sale, and it really didn't do that great, you know, in terms of views. I just wanted to see, like, by comparison for my own audience, like if I put this up, how does it compare to a regular video? Much worse than a regular video. But, you know, I've heard from other creators, they start off slow, and because the way these algorithms work is they have like, they check your regular audience, your regular subscribers, how they react, and then I think they do like a test sample audience, and then they use a combination of those measures to decide whether to push it to new people. So one thing that CG Matter told me is that sometimes shorts start really slow, and then all of a sudden, like a couple of days later, they'll just pick up again. I don't think these algorithms are particularly organic. I don't even think they're necessarily fair all the time. From what I've heard, like TikTok has a crazy algorithm by comparison. I don't even think necessarily that YouTube's traditional algorithm for regular videos will be good for shorts, so I hope that they've been working on new, more complex methods of serving it up to people. But again, that's one of the things I complained about for regular YouTube videos, is I think that before it's always been too reliant on previous subscriber watch interest, meaning the videos can get caught in these stagnant bubbles where they're not being served out again. And I did some experiments with that over time, and it really did seem like your pre-existing audience can murder new videos that would otherwise be quite popular on the wider YouTube space. One of those tests I did was a Minecraft video. So I did making beautiful Minecraft art in Blender, because there is actually quite a large audience for that on YouTube. But I knew that my pre-existing audience has like no interest in that. So I thought it would be interesting to see, okay, if we release this, will it die, or will it at least find some interest on YouTube? I'm pretty sure that video could have gone like, you know, 10, 20,000, whatever. I think it was stuck on 4,000 views for a year, and now over a year it's 6.4 thousand. Yeah, that one will be 2 years old in a few months. So that one was a really interesting example for me that, okay, yeah, there is an audience for some of these videos, but if your pre-existing audience doesn't like them, it's dead in the water. Anyway, let's talk a bit more about productivity. So if you've been following me on Instagram recently, a bit of a plug, you should follow me. It's like, whenever I put new content out, I put it on the Instagram stories. Also, you know, it's a little bit more of an insight into my regular life, but you might notice that I've been posting more pictures on there. just regular life pictures and a variety of other things. It's because I've been thinking about the pool method, as I call it. So POOL. You know, a pool, not just a swimming pool, but a pool is just like a collection of content that you have. It can be anything. Like, you know, you can think about it financially. There's a pool of money and you imagine, okay, well, this is the pool we're going to use for, I don't know, buying a car, buying a house, doing this, that, or the other. Anyway, thinking about shorts recently, right? They're very quick to make, shorts. I recorded about 5 of them yesterday just as a test to see kind of what it would feel like. And you can just come up with them on the fly as well if you have a general idea for what you think people are interested in. I don't know how they'll behave on my main channel, but I've just been getting into like the method of making them. The thing about shorts is they'll be applicable not just for YouTube, but also for Instagram, TikTok, and maybe Twitter as well, right? Because they're basically just a vertical aspect ratio video. And if the information is, you know, general enough to cross these different audiences, especially if it's in relation to Blender, right? There are Blender users on all of these different apps, then it seems sensible to make shorts because then you can post them to all these places at the same time. And that got me thinking, okay, well, if we can record so much at once, then we can create a pool of content ready to release over time. Now, I've tried different ways of releasing content. I've done it in a very linear way where we release things literally as soon as they're ready. I've done it in like a week preparation way where we prepare things so we can advance and release it that way. I'm now trying to lean a bit more into the pool method, which is where let's just try and make as much content as we can to fill up these pools. And then every day we can try and like release a little drip drop from them. And maybe not all of it will get released, but like that's the ideal. We just every day we try and make something to fill it up. And then every day after that, we choose something we feel like has value from that pool and then release it out to the public. I feel like there's a very good formula hidden somewhere for optimizing this, being able to make content that fills the pool every day and being able to take content from the pool in a way that encourages engagement on a daily basis. This is probably a lot easier if you actually had a team to help you do it, but I'm kind of obsessed with this idea of trying to like maximize my potential, see whether it's possible to do like something for every part of the business, every channel, every single day, which is why recently on my Notion, it'll be interesting to show you like my kind of workspace at some point again in the future. I've outlined like everything I do. So I've got like a list of things relating to making artwork and social spaces, you know, posting to Instagram, Twitter, whatever. I've got a list for my main channel, a list for my studio channel, and a list for all the other admin stuff. And I'm like, is it theoretically possible to do something for everything every single day? It sounds like a really tall order. Can we make a piece of artwork every day, post it on Twitter, Reddit, Instagram, post story, reel, TikTok? Can we make something for the main channel? Can we record it? Can we record a main video? Can we record a short? Can we release a video? Can we release a short? Can we post things to the YouTube community feed? Can we post things to the Discord channel? Can we record something for this second channel? Can we record a short? Can we release a video? Can we release a short? Can we post to the YouTube studio community feed and ping the studio people on Discord? Can we update a product? Can we clear out our emails? Can we clear out our DMs? Can we post to Blender Nation? Can we add something to the community log? Can we add something to the newsletter log? Can we connect with someone new in the community? It's like, okay, so here's a list of all the possible things. I'm now looking at that like a challenge, thinking, okay, I believe there's a way to do all of these things every day. I don't know if it's viable. It's not a good idea to release a video maybe every single day because, you know, general quality, but just as a target to aim for, I'm like, okay, can I maybe develop tools to help me do this? You know, some kind of automation workflow. You know, I like having little challenges because I feel quite stagnant in my life at the moment. We're still trying to sell this old house. Renovation work for the new house starts in April, so I won't be moving into the new studio until later on in the year. So I'm kind of sitting here and I've been speaking to my friends about it. Ben, of course, who I mentioned I speak to a lot, but other friends. Donna, if you're listening, Mel, you were in a chat with me yesterday. Wilson, I think you were there as well. Just saying about how I get frustrated with like a general routine that I can't change much. You know, we're kind of in this like half packed up stage where the house is ready for viewings and there are things I want to do with my life. We'll get onto that, but they're just things that I can't really do like right here and now. So it's like, okay, where do I put this frustration for stagnation? But well, let me focus it into a challenge. And the challenge is seeing how much I can perfect and optimize myself, giving myself challenges to do every day. And I'm thinking about it more like a breathing technique where we breathe in every morning, breathe out every night, breathe in every morning, breathe out every night. And as I'm looking at my checklist of things to do every day, an impossible checklist, I'm thinking, though I'm visualizing, as I breathe in, all of them get ticked. As I breathe out, all of them untick. Breathe in, breathe out. And when I imagine that, there's like a sense of power there. Like, wow, how powerful would it be to make an art piece every day, to make a video every day for the main channel, to make a video every day for the second channel, to connect with new people every day? Like, how impossible does that sound? But also, how powerful will you feel if you did actually manage to do that? How powerful would you feel if you managed to do that and it didn't take much effort? So that's like just something I'm aiming for. It's like, can I find like a daily formula that isn't too stressful? Can I develop some tools which are easy to maintain, which will allow me to complete everything every day within reason? So this is my challenge. I need something to occupy my mind while we're in this purgatory stage. I feel like the pool method of doing things may help with this, because like I said, you can record, I feel like I can record multiple shorts a day. Again, I don't even know if this is going to be appropriate for the main channel, but if I can record multiple shorts a day, at least, 2, it means that the pool going into the future is sustainable, that a short could be released every day. For actual main videos, that's a problem because videos require a lot of preparation, so it seems unrealistic to expect, a high quality video to be made every day. Other things though, artwork, I can make artwork every day. I've been restricting myself to only using things that I've created asset-wise, but if I release myself from that restriction, I could make something really cool every day, and it wouldn't take that much effort. All right, that sounds like a really big brag. I'm sorry if that was like really egotistical, but you know what I mean? Like I've been restricting myself so much to only using my own content and getting, pretty good with that, pretty nice results, that if I released that expectation and allowed myself to use like every asset pack from anyone around the community just to make artwork, I mean, let's face it, the possibilities are endless. So I don't know if I'll do that, but it might be viable again. That would give me something to post every day on these social platforms. But maybe again as a secondary challenge, just to play this first layer of a challenge on even more of a hard mode, maybe I should keep that restriction in place to only use my own content. It would force me to produce stuff for other people. If this sounds like stupid to you, I invite you to join the challenge with me. We'll call it the Optiflow Challenge, the Optimum Flow Challenge. If you take every possible thing you want to do with your work and lay it out in front of you as a series of checklists, how much of it do you think you could sustainably do in a day? And if you keep failing in specific areas, right, highlight them as red or something. If you think, okay, well, this one I can't seem to do every day, why not? And then focus in on them. Is there a tool you can make to help you do that faster? I don't know if I'll ever be able to do this properly, but I feel like in attempting to, we learn new things. So if this seems interesting to you, join me in this Optiflow challenge. See if we can make it work. I've also been making notes, and this is where things get a little bit cringy, right? But I hope it's not. On trying to design like an optimum day. So when are my ideal hours? When do I usually work? When do I usually take breaks? When do I usually like stop and play games and all that thing? And looking at that checklist and going, okay, theoretically, if I had a pool of content already prepared, I could do all of these things at the very beginning of the day and tick all these things off. I could tick the other things off for recording at this point in the day, and just looking at it and thinking, all right, still allowing myself free time to relax. Theoretically, how could I optimize the day to optimize, the releases? So this is a bit hardcore. I don't know if I'll lean into it too hard because, within reason, there are all these other projects to fit in as well. Like some projects require an entire day to work on and get things ready. But again, just for the sake of giving my head something to work on while I'm waiting for this next stage in my life, I feel like it's an interesting challenge. Just having to take a little break in the recording because Joshua's just been pushing something new to the Blender Cinema website, and there's been a little build error. There's just stuff happening all the time. Like this kind of goes into the point about, like it's impossible to condense all this stuff down into a single day. I'm recording. I'm overlapping with. Do you like my Roman watch face? Like the Roman numerals. I don't know if you can even see that, but I kind of like it. I change it depending on how I'm feeling. I've got like red stuff for like the regular stuff because I think it's kind of interesting feeling like I'm looking into my arm. So like I can check my how I slept, but it's all red. I feel like it's connected to the body. Anyway, random. But yeah, it just sounds like it could be fun. Let's move on to the next subject. But also, just before we do move on, about the Instagram like pictures and stuff, like new life pictures and whatever. This is just me getting used to the pool idea. Just like trying to program myself mentally to get into a routine of siphoning content out of a pool and posting it. Obviously, I've got like hundreds or thousands of images and videos on my phone from my personal life and like pictures with other people, and I'm not posting them anywhere. So this Instagram has just been like a little mental training exercise every morning or twice a day. So in the morning and in the evening, taking something from my camera roll or things I have on like Google Drive and whatever, and just posting them somewhere just to see what happens. So obviously, eventually when that becomes like artwork or shorts or regular videos, again, it's just keeping in this headspace of posting something. So moving on to the next stage, again, kind of going back to the whole subject of like moving to a new place and looking forward to future changes in life, I've kind of been like visualizing what my life will be like, because it's going to be very different to here in the greater London area. There are things which I think a lot of people expect in their lives that just don't really seem very applicable here. So again, one of those things is driving. I've always had like generalized anxiety, and I've always felt like that's the reason why I don't drive, right? My parents kind of forced me to do my driver's license when I was 17, I think it was. Yeah, you can apply for a provisional driving license when you're 15 years and 9 months. You can start driving a car when you're 17. So yeah, they kind of forced me and my brother to do our driver's license and to do it with the manual gearbox, which was really annoying. And I hated it so much. But also learning to drive around the greater London area is a freaking pain because there are people everywhere and the roads are tight and everyone's parked up because it's such a densely populated area. And also when you do your driving test, they try and trick you by taking you to some like really dodgy areas, and it was just a really horrid experience and I hated it. And also, you know, they expect you to drive, like my mum and dad would be like, oh, so when are you going to start driving again? I'm like, where? Why? Who, what, where, when, why? Like, what's the point? It's a waste of money. I work from home. Where am I going to go? What am I going to do? There's public transport going everywhere in the city. What's the point? And I always like question myself about that, thinking, is it just me trying to make excuses because I'm anxious about driving and I don't want to get in a crash? But like, no, realistically, it's just because there's no freaking point. And it's not even got anything to do with the money either. The idea now of like moving down to the coast, there are these big open expansive areas. I've been flying around it in flight sim as well, kind of just like getting a mental map of the general area, learning more about it. The idea of driving around there seems much more interesting to me. These big open spaces, really cool landscapes, natural area, coastal air, not that many people driving around. All of a sudden, I'm interested. I've never been interested, not since I was 17. I'm now 10 years on, I'm nearly 27, not had a single interest in driving. And now all of a sudden I'm looking up, researching all different types of electric cars, pricing, leasing. Suddenly, all of a sudden, the interest has clicked. So I'm realizing I don't think it's got anything to do with the anxiety. I think I was just genuinely completely disinterested in driving because it was completely freaking pointless doing it here in the suburban areas of London, especially as well not having a relationship, you know, like no responsibility to have a car to, you know, drive anywhere, drive anyone around, and working completely from home. So I'm actually really excited for this life change. All right, Derek Elliott just commented on a Instagram post. It's a callback to when I met Jacob in London. Again, check out the Instagram. Lovely personal connections. Who doesn't like that? Also, again, it's just part of like this movement this year to try and be more transparent with my work and my projects. So again, there are other projects I want to talk about soon that are not Blender related, that probably need a bit more explanation, and things that I've maybe been a bit nervous to talk about. So we'll get to that too. I guess it's all part of like this life improvement process. See, I'm actually quite interested to start driving again. And like I said, I've been looking at electric cars because here in the UK, I think we're aiming to move over to electric for all cars by 2050 is I think the year. And I feel like why not get ahead of the curve? There are some really, really sexy looking electric cars. But of course, I'm not rich, so I need to be realistic about that. There are lots of different affordable options, but I don't know, we'll see. I might. There's also like this is a really strong hypothetical might. A much less likely might, but still a might consider flying lessons. Maybe. We'll see. Because there is a place to do that. Well, there are all different kinds of places to do that around this country, but there's one reasonably within range that seems pretty interesting. But of course, that costs a lot of money as well. And, you know, I like to reinvest my money into my work first of all, so we'll see. But I have a general curiosity about learning all different kinds of new skills. So yes, anyway, going back to this whole like self-improvement conversation, one of the things that's always kind of crossed my mind is that I'm not really interested in applying for any jobs, right? But theoretically, if I did, should I reformat like my website and things to present my work in more of a portfolio kind of way? This is something I've always been concerned about because I do so many different things. And when you're applying for jobs, a lot of places don't really like generalists as much unless you're specifically applying for that. But even then, I feel like I scare people off with like the wide variety of things. And I've always wondered, is there a way to do everything you're interested in, like I already strive to do, and yet still appear like a specialist to jobs? And I've always wondered if I did show my work or my website to someone, how would they get that kind of sense of speciality from such like a wide, all-encroaching field or demonstration, I suppose. But I think I thought of a way, and in my mind it would be having a blog or presenting your work like a blog, making sure that they're all categorized, right? So imagine a blog post for every kind of section of your work. So for me it'd be like YouTube community management, like API design for EasyBPY, add-on development for all the add-ons, artistic product development, and maybe we can separate those into like different kinds of fields as well, but make sure they're all categorized, right? And then using a URL, we separate them by tag. So if you're applying for different types of jobs, you send them to the same blog post page, but the only things that will appear are things which are relevant to the application. For example, if they're only looking for 3D art stuff, we filter down the URL by the blog and then the category tag of 3D art. So the only thing that appears to them is 3D art related skills, even though the blog contains everything. Now, again, I'm not interested in applying for any jobs because I always just want to do my own thing. And I feel like I'm doing it quite well at the moment. But I was thinking again, like as backup plans, because I always like to think about contingencies. I'm wondering whether to like reformat part of my website, possibly the homepage, so that it more clearly displays all the different types of work we do, but also allows for the possibility to filter things down. So if I ever needed to apply for a job, I would be able to have everything there, but just exclusively filtered down down things into a URL that can be handed to specific people so that only certain parts of the work can be shown, if that makes sense. But maybe that's something that you might find interesting. Again, if you find yourself being a bit of a multi-potentialite, interested in many things, as I know a lot of people are nowadays, it's becoming increasingly rarer for people to be in one specific job their entire life. But maybe that's an idea you can resonate with as well, that instead of showing everything when we're applying for work, if we ever do, we can present things in a blog-like fashion, but filter it down with a tag/category system. So it's something I might experiment with just to play around. It might also be an improvement, like, to the homepage of my website. You know, I show some like the highlighted recent products on there and just like links to community things, but maybe it'll be an improvement being able to see with like lovely thumbnails all of these big portfolio sections, and I can have all the different products there, and it'd be a good introduction to people for what we do. But, you know, we'll see. Again, I just thought it was an interesting idea. Maybe you might adopt that for something. But I think that's where we'll leave it for this little podcast episode. So we talked about, you know, a funny struggle about making content on YouTube, accidentally overlapping with other YouTubers, and trying to find ways to make it unique on the fly. We talked about shorts on YouTube because monetization is starting next month for the shorts. So if you're interested in becoming a YouTube partner, that's one thing to keep in mind. And also, I'm just preparing you in case you start seeing a lot more short videos. That would be why. We spoke about the pull system of productivity. What I'm coining in my mind is the OptiFlow challenge, finding the optimum flow every day to see if you can maximize the amount of things you can do. Again, not like seriously, not putting yourself at mental or, you know, like emotional risk or anything, but just as a fun challenge, see how much you can push on a daily basis. We also spoke a bit about self-improvement, waiting to kind of, you know, move to a new phase in life, getting back into driving, kind of figuring out whether things are anxiety based or literally just because of a lack of purpose, and feels like it's the latter. And also kind of as a multi-potentialite, reformatting your work in a way where you can kind of selectively send it to people in job applications. So yeah, if you made it to the end of the video, then put a car emoji in the comments. That way I'll be able to see if you made it this far. If you're not already, subscribe, ring the notification bell, blah, blah, blah. Social platforms, connect with me, write comments. I read all of them. Share your thoughts, share what's happening in your life. Let's just connect. Together, we are stronger. Have a great day, everyone, and I'll see you next time.